Ahead of tomorrow's highly anticipated FOMC meeting, where the Fed will likely cut rates by 25 basis points, the stock market and gold have been putting in brand new all-time highs, but Bitcoin seems to be lagging behind. In today's video, we'll be talking about whether or not Bitcoin will just pump to new all-time highs going into FOMC and shortly after, or if there's something else that's about to play out. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump right into the video. And kicking us off with the Bitcoin chart, as we always do, you can see that not much has changed over the past few days going into FOMC. Bitcoin is sitting just above $115,000, and if I zoom in a little bit closer here, you can see that on the 4-hour time frame, we're failing to break these local highs just below $117,000. Now, this is a very, very interesting region. The reason I say that is because if we take a look at the liquidation maps, you can see that there's a pretty big cluster here, right between 116.8K up to all the way below $118,000. This is a pretty significant cluster of shorts that are likely ready to get liquidated. Now, going into FOMC, I actually think that it is likely that we see some kind of spike within this region, but if you've been watching the channel, you know that I think we can likely move lower before we potentially go higher. And how much lower am I actually talking about here? Because you can see that we did get a very nice move from the lows, and in fact, as we've been covering, I was vocally bullish at the lows. I am still in my Bitcoin long as a hedge in case we just absolutely go parabolic from here. That being said, I am also in a Bitcoin short, as you can see here, and so I am prepared for both scenarios. The way you can do this is that if you time the market relatively well, you can enter a long position, you can take some profits along the way, then you simply move your stop loss to break even, and if I think that the market could potentially be headed a little bit lower before we move higher, then I enter a short and I take profits on the way down going into that level that I'm looking at. Now, the key level is actually all the way down here to around $107,000. Now, I have been wrong before, but what I want to get at here is that I think it's more than likely, given how many people piled into longs, that we could see a little bit of a correction before we see continuation higher. Now, the way that I'm going to play this is actually taking profits on the way down into around $112,000. And if we confirm below there, then to me that signals weakness and we will likely go and visit the lows once more. Then I would be taking some more profits. However, if we just consolidate here and Bitcoin doesn't actually go ahead and move lower, I have my exposure from my spot positioning. Now, all of these trades were transparently shared in my free premium group. Reminder, if you want to know how I am personally navigating this market, some no bullshit crypto signals, you have the first link in my description down below. All you need to do is click this link and then it'll bring you to this page. You click send message and you DM me the word premium and I would be happy to onboard you into my free group. Just a reminder though, to be able to join, you do need to sign up with one of my affiliate exchange links, whether that's Bluffin or Weeks. Speaking of Weeks, I do need to share this incredible promotion with you because right now they are offering 20% deposit bonuses. And you know we love our trading bonuses. As you can see here, if you deposit 10,000 USDT, you can get up to $2,000 back completely for free to be able to trade with. Same thing if you contribute to a little bit of volume here, you can earn up to $9,000 back for trading purposes, and any profits that you make, you can of course withdraw. That's a solid 20% deposit bonus if you sign up with me on Weeks with the third link in my description down below. And also, if you are an active trader that has already signed up with me, you are eligible for this campaign as well. So back to the charts. I still think that we can potentially move lower, hence what I've been saying here. As you can see, up, which is currently in progress, down, and then up. Again, I will reiterate, if you're just holding spot, this is not the area where you need to stress out. Don't diddle in the middle. If you're not already positioned, then don't stress about it. Wait to see what the market gives you, because if we come back lower, this will likely be a very, very good spot buying opportunity. However, if we move higher and you're already positioned in your spot bags, then I do think we are approaching the last leg of this bull market cycle. I will keep repeating these ideas and then we'll see how they'll have to play out. But so far, we have really been directionally accurate. I don't know if you guys have been watching the channel for the past few months, but right around these lows, we were vocally bullish saying that Bitcoin was going to make a new all-time high. We entered a Bitcoin long publicly and in my free premium group. We cashed out on some profits on the way up. And on this bounce, we also said that Ethereum would likely put in a brand new all-time high and outperform Bitcoin. So we also entered an Ethereum long. On the way up, we took most of our profits right around $4,900. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. These receipts are all in my free premium group. Then we took those profits and ultimately we came back down. I wasn't trading much here. And then as we tapped into these very important lows, which I'll remind you, point of control of the previous range, the bottom of this existing range, and tapping into these bands here, which is the bull market support band, it only made sense that we were going to get a bounce, and that's why we executed on that long trade. Now, when everyone is getting bullish ahead of FOMC, and as we can see, there is a lot of long liquidation leverage to be grabbed on the 24-hour chart, especially on the 30-day chart. You can see that there's now 2 times more cumulative long liquidation leverage in the market than cumulative short liquidation leverage. But remember, this can certainly get overheated. Usually, when we start to see a reversal within these ranges, I want to say we get about 4 to 6 times more cumulative long liquidation leverage than cumulative short liquidation leverage, and it also works in the opposite direction. When there were way more shorts in the market, I was vocally bullish, and that's one of the reasons why as well. It adds confluence to the analysis. Then we went ahead and pumped, and as I said, I think that Bitcoin will likely roll over. Now the question is, are we going to tap into this liquidity first? I actually think that there is a strong chance we do. We'll have to see how it plays out. But as you know, I am already positioned in my Bitcoin short, and I will be adding a little bit more if we move higher. Spot positioning, I have not touched a single thing. On this channel, I try to share both sides of the market, spot and crypto trading. I have made most of my profits trading in this market, and I really do think that this has been a trader's market where you can lock in some nice gains on the way up within a range and lock in some nice gains on the way down within that given range. Let's see what happens. I will probably start selling some of my Bitcoin once we cross $125,000 comfortably and start dollar cost averaging out of the market in preparation to buy near the bear market bottom. Now, we have FOMC this week. Today, we do have the retail sales month over month, which is categorized as an impactful event, but ultimately, I don't think that we'll see much movement based on the numbers we get here. And tomorrow, we have Fed interest rate decision, FOMC economic projections. Let's see if Fed Chair Jerome Powell comes off as dovish or hawkish, because that will have a significant impact on the market as well. And you can see that the odds are still that we will be getting a 25 basis point rate cut. 50 basis point would surprise everyone, but there's still a 96% chance that 25 basis points are the way to go. Now, we'll likely get some more cuts in the upcoming months afterwards, and I do think that ultimately this will fuel us a little bit higher in the market for the last leg of the bull market cycle that I have been talking about. But right now, as you know, over the past week and a half or so, my bias has flipped short as everyone starts piling into longs, and I am a contrarian trader, just to reiterate. I've made most of my money doing the opposite of what most people do in this market, and it really has been working out thus far. And what I also wanted to go over in today's video is that we do have this very, very long-term trend line for Bitcoin. I believe it's 8 years. If I zoom out here, connecting all of those tops on the weekly time frame, you can see that Bitcoin actually did go ahead and pop above it this cycle, but then we confirmed back below. And this goes all the way back into November of 2017. But if we go back to the daily time frame here, you can see that we are technically back below this range. So what I would want to see for the last leg of this cycle is for us at some point to continue up onwards and hold this level as support and then confirm much, much higher. My base case is between $130,000 to $150,000 per Bitcoin this cycle, and I will be selling on the way up. I don't think that the top is in, despite the fact that we may have a little bit of a correction going into FOMC and maybe shortly after. Let's see how it plays out. Now, I also wanted to quickly go over Bitcoin dominance because you can see now that we're holding this trend line as support, which we drew quite some time ago. I still think that the easiest way for Bitcoin dominance to go is actually up, whether Bitcoin dumps or pumps. In my opinion, I think that this will likely go ahead and at least give us a run for our money above 60%, probably 62% Bitcoin dominance, but let's see how it materializes. And as I started the video off with saying, the S&P 500 is at all-time highs. We have gold also at all-time highs, and Bitcoin is slightly lagging behind. I do think that it is inevitable that we will catch up. However, we cannot ignore the fact that with Bitcoin kind of just stalling out here, if the stock market were to go ahead and roll over here, Bitcoin would certainly not like it, and I do think that that's when Bitcoin may go ahead and revisit the bottom of this existing range. Now, I also wanted to quickly touch on the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin. You can see that this cycle, technically, we put in a new all-time high, but it hasn't been sustained. Ultimately, what I'm going for here is a break above, hold this support, and then we can go ahead and hopefully target the $2 trillion level excluding Bitcoin. And let's also quickly talk about others, which is the total crypto market cap excluding the top 10. You can see that this bull market cycle, we haven't even made a high. We made it up to a mere 450 billion, 460 billion, when the high was 490 billion plus. And in line with what we just said, Bitcoin is doing that thing again where it chops sideways as stocks and golds are ripping. These periods can take what seems like forever, but eventually Bitcoin always tends to catch up as long as the wider macro trend and risk on sentiment supports it. Bitcoin is known for its long sideways periods and explosive 1 to 2 months rallies this cycle. Completely agree with this, and I do think that it's only a matter of time before Bitcoin does rip up. But as I've been saying, I think we get a little bit of a move lower beforehand. That is for all of the traders that are watching my channel. And that sums up today's very quick video. Not much has changed. We just continue to chop around ahead of FOMC. Makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of uncertainty in this market. I think that there's a chance that we can get a little bit of a spike higher on the shorter time frames to grab some more upside liquidity as more longs pile into the market, and then we get a correction afterwards before we have the final leg of this bull market cycle. That is currently my base case. We've been directionally correct for these past few months, making some very serious profits in crypto. And that's a reminder, if you want to join my free premium group to know exactly how I am personally trading, you have that first link in my description down below. But the point is, I think that we're in for a very volatile period. Ultimately, the cycle is not over. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.